I know you'll be offended by what I'm about to say, but please hear me out. Black people in Africa are just not smart. Or black leaders below the Sahara Desert are simply not as smart as you would think. I say this because they don't have ideas for common solutions. And when you present them with ideas, they have no political desire to even listen, ladies and gentlemen. And by the time you finish watching this video till the end, you will be worried and agitated and feel uneasy about the way things are done in this part of the world. Countries are begging and spending millions in advertisement to attract young people to enroll in their army in the Western countries. And they go as far as to Africa to attract many of our young people. But on the other hand, in Africa, we Africans are sending these young people away. When young people, ladies and gentlemen, willingly on their own walk in to enroll to serve their country, we do everything possible to put roadblocks in their path and eventually deny them. We are rather demanding briberies and charging youngsters before they get the chance to serve their nation. People in senior roles in government and in the military and in other security services have become agents of recruitment. People are paying as much as $2,000 to be enrolled to serve. Young officers collect these bribes on behalf of senior officers, and it's become a common thing, and everybody's just looking on. What is happening here, ladies and gentlemen? Why must an interested youngster go through some big man or pay bribes to serve their nation? Don't you know what to do with the army, ladies and gentlemen? Don't you know we need more soldiers in the army and in the police service? I am going to use Ghana Army for emphasis reason, ladies and gentlemen. The most widely cited estimate is that the Ghana Army or Ghana Armed Forces has about 15,500 active personnel. 15,500 personnel, ladies and gentlemen. Ghana's population is in excess of 35 million people. 15,500 active personnel is 0.04% of Ghana's total population, which means Ghana's army or armed forces altogether is less than 0.1% of Ghana's total population. Do you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? It simply means one Ghana soldier is to every 2,258 people in Ghana. If I do the same for the Ghana Police Service, it will mean one Ghana police officer is to every 883 people in Ghana, because we are estimated to have approximately 42,000 active police personnel. You say Canada is safe and you are dying for a visa to go, but you didn't know that one of the reasons for their safety is because the ratio of police officers to civilians is one officer to approximately 500 and even below civilians. And they are equipped with vehicles and all manner of security gadgets, ladies and gentlemen. China, according to me, is top 5 safest country in the world. And guess how many police officers they have for civilians? China, with 1.4 billion population, still has about 1 police officer for every 737 people in China, who comes fully equipped with every piece of necessary gadget. Peace and security does not happen by chance or wishing. It's tactical and planned. The problem with African politicians is that they claim they don't have the budget for big numbers and equipment. They claim they cannot financially support big army or police with the equipment, but they have the same money. They have enough money to support all sorts of nonsense. If you are going to allow for private citizens to register and own guns, you might as well provide guns for every police officer. Because, for instance, where a crime is being committed and you find a police officer on duty or in uniform ducking, hiding for cover because he has no firearm, is just stupid and unsafe for himself, the police officer. When you see police officers struggling in the morning and at night with civilians over public transport to get to work and back, how does that make you feel, ladies and gentlemen? Meanwhile, a politician walks into office in a day and instantly has access to $100,000 worth of an SUV and a siren. What kind of society are we building, ladies and gentlemen? Why aren't you spending on the structures that actually ensures our security? You claim the state doesn't have the resources for it. Okay. I'm going to share 2 ideas with you for your consideration. In China, the People's Liberation Army has one of the largest farms in the world owned and controlled by the Chinese army. And they do it to self-sustain. We can be strategic with it. The maintenance of peace at our borders is essential, and this we can all agree to it. The financial sustenance of our military and police is essential. We can also agree to it. And the supply of food for officers and for people, civilians, are equally important. We can also agree to this. So, you set up state farms controlled by the Ghana Army or for the police service all around the border towns of Ghana as strategic points where they are able to oversee what goes in and out of the country at the borders. I'm not asking you to turn Ghana Army officers into farmers, but I'm asking you to engage them to supervise over prisoners in activities that will be profitable to their department and to their state, ladies and gentlemen. They will be stationed there strategically and permanently to supervise over the farms and also keep an eye on our borders at the same time. This is being smart. And I'm not talking about your regular backyard garden. I mean a mechanized farm. Prisoners will have to learn to operate these farm machines and spend their time behind bars being productive, ladies and gentlemen. This produce will go into the market and be a source of revenue for the army and the police service. Same thing can be done in the fish and poultry industry, ladies and gentlemen. Every aspect of our country must be productive in terms of revenue generation. When all the burden is placed on the central government, that's when the problem of funding becomes a challenge. Things can be decentralized, but there is a problem here. I think I have an idea as to why politicians want it this way. I know politicians want everything centralized because they want to control every aspect of the economy and government and also be able to manipulate everything that goes on, ladies and gentlemen. They fear that when, for instance, the army becomes self-sustaining, they might stand up to them in the course of time and eventually maybe turn on them. So they would rather have them depend entirely on them for everything they will need to be operational. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me that is not true. It is an honorable thing to serve your country on any level. Whether you serve in the army or in the police service or in the navy or in any ministry or department, it is an honorable thing. There shouldn't be a roadblock in the way of people who especially want to serve in the nation's security forces, so long as they are qualified. We have to do it on merit, ladies and gentlemen. We are losing thousands of them to the US and UK army because they weren't taken in here. There are even videos of Ghanaians and other African nationals fighting in the Russia-Ukraine war as soldiers for Russia. How far is this going to go, ladies and gentlemen? When a person willingly walks in and is qualified and wants to enroll to serve, that person should be respected and accommodated the more, no matter their number. We need to increase our security population across board. We need to fund them and equip them to be on top of their job, ladies and gentlemen. There shouldn't be any sort of bribes and monies involved in recruitment. This is wrong. When we have creative government, you see how the police service will turn around in a matter of time. CCTV cameras are to generate income for the state, to pay officers' salaries. That is what they are meant for, apart from keeping an eye on the streets. When a person drives through the red light, the CCTV cameras must be also able to pick up the license plates of the driver and charge them with a fine instantly. These numbers can be broadcast on our national TV, our state TV every night. Offenders will have time to pay or receive interest on their fines. There is too many reckless driving on our streets, on our roads, and that could stop it in a matter of time if this one policy is implemented. But who is here to hear us speak? And who is listening, ladies and gentlemen? We need to be smart and lead with precision. The waste is enough, but we won't stop until we see real change. And I want to end it here. And thank you for watching. And be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for more. I'm Cyrus, and this is Tuntum Network in Accra, Ghana. I'll see you in the next one. It's bye-bye for now.